On in San Francisco for the man known as the Zodiac Killer.
There could be a serial killer in Chicago.
The Oakland County child killer is going to kill him.
Frankfurt slasher.
4 children have now been murdered.
Has killed 5 and says he's going to kill again.
15 brutally murdered young women.
The pattern is the same.
One by one, the death count started rising.
A man in a mask robbed, tied, and stabbed them.
Strangled, stuffed in burlap bags.
It is highly unlikely that these women were murdered by separate men.
Where will the killer strike next?
The police can't answer who or why.
That's the question that we'll never know.
I don't want to live the rest of my life wondering if this person's going to be caught.
All right. Happy Saturday. I hope everybody's doing all right. My name is 12 Gauge, and this is my channel, 12 Gauge INVESTIGATE podcast. If you're new to the channel, thank you so much for being here. If you've been here before and you actually enjoy what I present, please hit the like button, share, and subscribe. You know, today, I just wanted to go back in time a little bit and talk about Chris Watts. Because Carla, or Kay, was talking to me about this the other day, and I thought to myself, you know what? It'd be a cool case to really just talk about once again, but I, myself, don't know a lot about it, so I thought I'd get on here and I'd replay something that we did once, so that I could not only learn more, but that I could teach you guys as well if you've forgotten some of the case. So let me go ahead and get this pulled up, and we'll get it going. How's everybody's weekend going? I hope your Easter is going to be awesome. I have no real plans, I guess. Let me move this over a little bit. Let me make it bigger for the crowd. That's why I didn't put my usual 12 gauge stuff up here, because I knew that it was going to cover all this up. So let's go ahead and rewind and let's go back in time. Here we go.
You try to hold me down, keep me on the ground. You try
That's
to
when I had
hold
music
me
playing like
close,
this.
so I couldn't go out. I said who you really are, yeah, how you take it too far. I'll never fall for it again. I know better now, going through all the doubts. Thank God that we're not together. I know better.
Anybody else in the chat that hasn't yet, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing good. I had OT and PT came through today, so I got my little workout on. I mean, you know, for your audience, for those who don't know, I'm battling breast cancer, but I'm doing good, and I am excited to be here.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I don't know if you follow my channel during the day or anything, but you know, I posted something a little earlier about the cameras along the route of the Idaho 4, and I was just messing around trying to find, you know, some cameras on Google Maps, and I was able to find some, you know. So, hey Jeff, looky here. You see this? Jeff, you gonna teach me how to play, brother? Anyways, I'm glad everybody's here on this Friday night. Because sometimes we need a place to go and hang out, place that's drama free, a place that's just about have. So, how many of you do really understand what the case is about? Let me try to refresh your memory with what I know. Okay. Um, as far as I know, is Chris Watts was the husband of Shanann Watts, who he murdered and he killed their two little girls. For whatever reason, he was seeing somebody else, and I think her name was Nicole Lossinger or something. I don't know. I'll have to look it up, but he killed Shanann, and then he threw his two little beautiful daughters in an oil tanker. But the thing that really was surprising to me was when we go and watch this, I'm like, man, I can't believe I never deep dove into this guy. I think we're really just talking for a while. I don't even know if I show a video, but hold on, let's see what we say. Kind of have a conversation with Carla and myself. That's how we do it here. We keep it drama free. Everybody's opinion is valid. And we'd like to have a good time in the chat, but if it gets out of hand, people start cussing or people start, demanding their way. Mods, if you just time them out or do your deal, do your job. So without further ado, let's dive into this. Let's dive into this about the mindset of Chris Watts. So Carla, kind of walk me through the case a little bit. I was watching a little bit of it the other day, and let me give you a little bit about what I saw and where I'm at. Okay. What I saw was Shanann Watts came home from a plane trip, and she went into the house. She was caught on Ring camera. The next morning, her best friend tried to contact her. Ring, ring, ring. Text message. Nothing. She got concerned. Went over. She called Chris. She called the police first. The police beat Chris there. Chris let him in the house. They went into the house. He went in through the garage. He waited kind of like a minute or so. He let him in. They started asking questions, this, that, and the other. So take it from there as a mindset of a killer. What do you believe that Chris was thinking at this point? So before we go there and see what she's thinking, let me set it up for you, okay? Let me set it up for you because it's been a while. And, sometimes I like to go back and revisit these cases for this reason. It was August 13, 2018, Frederick, Colorado. August 13, 2018. A pregnant mother and two little girls. They were gone without a trace. No signs of forced entry into the home. No struggle. No suspects. Just the husband standing in his driveway pleading for their return. If they're out there, just come back. But within days, that image would collapse. And what did the investigators uncover? It wasn't a disappearance after all. It was an annihilation. How many of you, whether you're watching this on replay or whether you're watching this currently, how many of you remember that? How many of you were really tuned in as this case broke? Like I've always said to my audience, I've always gotten this case and another case confused. So this I understand this one. The other one was a pregnant woman too, but it wasn't like this one. Let me see. Chris Watt, he appeared ordinary, right? A quiet old field worker. He was a husband. He was the father of two. His wife, Shanann Watt, documented their lives online. She was quite visual on Facebook, if I remember correctly. Very visual. She was very hyperactive, very strong-willed, and she had $1 million smile, Her Facebook videos filled with laughter, routines, and what looked like happiness. Bella and Celeste were her two little girls. They were bright, they were energetic, they were full of love. From the outside, this was the American family blueprint. But you know what? The investigators would later learn what you see online isn't always what it is behind closed doors. And that is so true. That is so true. Because anybody can paint a picture of a perfect marriage. Anybody can paint a picture of their lifestyle and the good things that happen in their lives. But doesn't always mean that that's how it happens. So let's go ahead and listen to what Carla has to say.
I mean, just picking up from that part of the story, I think, okay, so when any of us, when we do something, whatever it is, right, there is always a counteraction. So I think that Chris was stunned and surprised that the friend was there with the police. When we see him kind of come up, you do kind of see his demeanor kind of like, whoa, like, okay, yeah, let me open the door, like, blah blah blah. And the cop played it cool. I love how the cop and was like, because the friend was like ready to barge in there, and he was like, hey, Chris, like, is it okay? It's his house. Can I come in? And so he played it by the book. So in that instance, I really feel like he was extremely shocked and surprised because he hadn't had time to come back and clean up anything on the inside. So where does your wife go? You're obviously, your wife entered the home, and then there is no exit of her coming out.
And that is a great point. That is a great point right there. Based on what I know about this case, she's right on point with that, because she got home around 2 a.m. as the Ring camera suggested. You could see her walking in. She got home around 2 a.m. She went into the home. Supposedly, her and Chris met each other. They had sex. After that, Chris went on into the girls' room. And supposedly at this point, he smothered both of them. And then he went back into their room, him and Shanann's bedroom. And that's when he killed her. He started an argument with her first, and then that's when he killed her. So think about this a little bit. Screw all the narratives and everything about whether he's guilty, whether he's innocent. Did that other lady have anything to do with this? Let's focus on this part right here. How many of you believe that he was a cold, callous, calculated monster by killing his two little girls? Killing his two little girls. That in itself speaks volumes, because by summer 2018, things were shifting. Shanann was pregnant with their third child, a boy, but Chris had grown distant, emotionally detached. He was even cold. And then there was someone else. Chris had begun an affair with Nicole Kessinger, a coworker. And the relationship wasn't casual, it was escalating fast, as they usually do. A lot of times, whenever a husband is cheating with someone at the workplace, the relationships are not casual. They escalate fast. But you have to understand too, people don't cheat out of opportunity. They don't. They don't. The search history in his computer and cell phone later revealed something chilling. Think about this. There was wedding dresses, romantic getaways, and a life without his family. Chris Watts wasn't just drifting, he was rewriting his future. So, I don't know if you believe that this started the whole I got to get rid of my family because I want to be with you, or it was something else. It was something else. Because there's another case. I think there's so many that we talk about, man, that they're easy to intertwine. Y'all help me out. Was it Susan Smith that killed her babies so that she could be with her lover who didn't want children? I mean, think about how you already start a family with somebody else. Supposedly you're happy. And then all of a sudden things go bad because you start cheating. You start entertaining someone else. So like I said, Shanann returned home around 2 a.m. after a business trip. The security footage at the house, it confirmed that she did enter the home. She never came back out, just like Carla said. She never came back out. By the morning, Chris Watts was texting his coworkers like nothing happened. So people ask, how can people do this? How can people be so calculated and murder their families and, have these moments where they go on with their lives and act like nothing happened? Ask yourself that question, because if you have followed my channel at all, we have diagrammed how people can do that. We have diagrammed how people's mindset sometimes can be so overwritten with extracurricular things that they start to believe their own lies. As we said, nothing happened. He was texting his coworkers. He was calling the girls' school. He's claiming they wouldn't be attending. Contacting a realtor about selling his house. Who would be doing all this? The fact that his wife just got back from a business trip at 2 a.m. and all of a sudden he jumps into modes where he's contacting the girls' school saying they're not going to be there. He's contacting a realtor out of the blue. We're going to sell the house. And before anyone even knew they were missing, he was already erasing them. Tell me your thoughts about this dude. Let's see what Carla has to say.
We don't know how she got out of the house. And so I think one of the things that really struck me as odd is, he's thinking on his feet. He's not thinking things through at this time because he wasn't anticipating the wellness check that the friend wanted to do. So he's quickly thinking on his feet. I mean, he goes and he gets her ring, like, look, she left her ring. And, he waits a minute. So there's a lot could have happened in that 1 minute where he even goes and opens the door. What did he go and get things out of her car? Who knows, but he's definitely surprised, about it all. And he wants to kind of blame, the victim, she probably, I think.
And she's right on point there. What I've seen lately, she's right on point. Think about this. The friend called the police for a wellness check because she hasn't heard from Shanann. People are very patternistic just a few things with consistency. I bet if somebody who's really close to you, if they ask you, did you go or did you drink your coffee today? Did you have that breakfast you have usually on the weekends? Were you going to that art gallery that you usually visit once a month? People have patterns, okay? So thank God for her friend that was really caring enough that she called for a wellness check. Like Kay just said, he was not anticipating that. Oftentimes, killers don't. They don't anticipate every aspect of the crime. Most people, they want you to believe, those true crime fanatic people, they want you to believe that everything flows like a storybook, but it doesn't. Because I believe that's what got Chris reeling out of control. Think about this. He comes home, and you see the video because you can see him coming home. Let me see if I can pull one up so I can show you. Because there's a lot that a lot of people missed in these videos. And I was watching one today and I was like, whoa. Why did they just let him do all those things before coming in the house? Like I said, it's been a while, so I want to refresh your memory. Let me see if they have a video footage. Okay. Because I know and he didn't anticipate other things too. Let me show you the video of Shanann getting home. We'll get back to Carla or Kay here in a minute. I wish you could do multiple deals like this. Okay, let's just go back in time. Whether you paid attention to this case or not, I think it's a good case to be talking about today because there's so much crap that went wrong. So this is her getting home on August 13th at 2 a.m. Obviously, she's still alive, carrying luggage, right? She's carrying her purse. So there's people that say, well, I don't know if this was the last sign of life, okay? Well, of course it was. She just got out of the Uber or whatever kind of car that was. Or I think that was her friend's car that her friend drove her home. So there she was. She was dropped off at 2 a.m., all right? And let me go back to the video that shows him getting home. I know that there's a video that freaking shows him. I think it's this one. I think it's this one right here. You're going to see how he's acting, okay? And pay attention to what he's doing. Here we go.
Here, Nicole? Yes. Okay. What's going on?
Her friend Shanann Watts was pregnant, upset about a crumbling marriage, and now she and her young daughters were missing. It was early afternoon, August 13th. Shanann's husband, Chris Watts, arrived home.
Scott, how you doing? How's it going? So this is all.
See, he's going into the vehicle right away. Before he even did this, he was digging around in the front seat of his truck for a couple minutes. So was he retrieving her cell phone at that point? Was he getting the ring out of her vehicle at this point? Because look at how long he spends in this vehicle.
Only vehicle she would have? Only one that she would drive. Okay. You mind if I look around?
Playing the role of concerned husband. But by the next day, the tone of the investigation had changed. Detectives located a neighbor's surveillance footage. watching Chris Watts the morning his family disappeared, walking down the driveway, backing his work truck into the garage, its tailgate and bed obscured from the camera for more than 20 minutes, and finally driving away. A day later, they knew Chris Watts had a mistress, and they knew where he'd been after his family disappeared, using the GPS on his truck to locate this Weld County oil field.
Gave Shanann a hug and everything.
They questioned him for hours, gave him a polygraph.
So there you go. There you have that. So I'm going to ask you a question as we continue on. What kind of father would not know where his daughters were? If he was the one that was there with them and mom was on a business trip, how did he not know where his daughters were?
I think he's trying to paint that picture of she probably left me. But then the friend is like, hey, but her purse is here. Her phone is here. I believe her phone was even there. Like, you know, like if she was going to leave you, brother, she was going to take a purse at minimum, you know, like, come on, you know, so everything's getting ruled out, you know, and then I believe they go to the neighbors, you know, and he's standing. Now, this is when, you know, if you watch the Netflix, and I've got it playing in the background, but if you watch it, you look at him, his demeanor changes, because at that point he realizes that his neighbor's camera caught him leaving, but Shanann and the girls never left. So I think what he was anticipating telling everyone is she left me, you know, for another guy. Maybe she's living her best life somewhere with my kids. I don't know, you know, but that storyline wasn't going to happen because there is no evidence of him leaving, and that camera was facing that house the entire day. So,
right, and also, so think about that a little bit. She's bringing up some great points there, because within 48 hours, Chris Watts failed a polygraph test. The facade began to crumble. First, he blamed Shanann. He claimed she harmed the children. Remember that? And he reacted. But that story didn't hold, did it? Under pressure, the truth surfaced. Remember, he said that Shanann was hurting the girls. That's why he got upset and confronted her. That's why they had the argument they had. I mean, isn't it interesting that whenever somebody is being questioned about something nefarious such as this, the first thing they do is they start blaming the other person. And why is that easy to blame the other person? Because the other person's dead. The other person's dead. They can't speak up for themselves from the grave. You know what I mean? I mean, it just goes to show you, you think you know people, you think you know their tendencies, but in reality, you don't. You don't know these people as clear as you think you know them. Let's hear some more from Kay. Carla, you know, while they were in there, he was looking through the phone. He was, you know, the police asked him, were y'all having any problems? Were y'all having any marital problems? And he said, yes, we were in the middle of a separation. We're starting to separate. And the policeman asked him, well, how's it going? And he kind of smirked and, you know, kind of said, well, it's going, you know. So at this point, he's not broke up about it. He's not nervous about where's my wife, where's my little girls, none of that. And like you said, you know, then they went to the camera next door to the neighbor's house. He pointed to the garage, and like you were saying, you know, at this point, the neighbor's camera caught his truck backing up. And, you know, at this point, Chris is really fidgety. He's very hyperverbal. He's He's over explaining himself. He's doing all this, that, and the other. And, at this point, the neighbor's like, what the heck, man? What the heck? This dude is not a talker. He's very quiet and reserved. What's going on with this dude? And guys in the chat, guys and gals, would y'all put a 1 if you know the case? I mean, we're assuming that you know the case, so that's why we're describing it the way we are. Please let us know whether you know the case or not. 1 that you do, 2 that you don't. And hopefully that, we're explaining it in a way that you can understand it. And I'll let you take over from there, Carla.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think his demeanor, just completely gave it away, even when he was talking to the media, it's, desperately saying, hey, my girls, bring them back. I let a, everything was very robotic. There wasn't any emotions. I can't imagine, how if you don't know where someone is, and they're pregnant. I mean, his wife was pregnant at the time, and you're just as calm and can be. And this is something that we've talked about before, is that control, that emotional intelligence, that emotional control that somebody like that has. Because you've got to have control over your emotions. But you already know what happened. But you're so in control that you forget to act as if nothing is going on, right? You forget to give us that emotion as well. I mean, it's just a blank. And so I mean, from there, what ended up happening was, whenever you start to watch it, they're asking him questions, and in between there, he's getting a lot of press. And then the cops know about his mistress.
So let's go and let's see exactly where he took Shanann and the girls, because he buried them. He buried Shanann in a shallow grave, and he stuck the girls in these 2 tankers, or maybe in 1. But Shanann was found not far from there, buried in a shallow grave with the girls' blankets over her. And the reason they found this was because of the pings on his cell phone. So think about that a minute. How diabolical is this piece of shit? I mean, and I don't know anything about this dude other than what I'm watching and what I'm showing you. But how could a sane individual kill his wife, bury her? She was pregnant with her 3rd child. Bury her in a shallow grave, and then dump his bodies in one of those tankers. There's the shallow grave. That is shallow as they come. Look at that. Not even deep. I mean, you would think he would at least take time to, if he was going to do that. Not saying that he was a professional killer or anything, but just like what I was talking about regarding the killing fields, look how remote that is. Look how remote that is. And I've shown you some of West Texas lands. I think this happened in California. So California is pretty much just, or is this Colorado? I think this is Colorado, my bad. So there's the blanket that Shanann was wrapped in. That's just terrible. It's just terrible to think that a husband would want so much to be out of his marriage that that's what he would do to his wife and his unborn son. And look how wide that tanker is. I mean, I thought that the girls were still alive when he took them out there, because I'd heard that I've heard a lot of stories before this that the girls were still alive. And I'm glad that they weren't. Can you imagine being alive and being thrown in a tank like that and drowning as young as you are? He supposedly suffocated them and then went into their bodies in these tankers. What a piece of shit, bro. What a piece of shit. I mean, and there's people in love with this dude. Like, there's people that that emulate him, that don't believe that he did it. Of course, nobody is guilty of committing crimes in the U.S. Everybody's innocent. The justice system just has it out for these people, right? Well, let's watch a little bit of Nicole Kessinger's interview, okay? Because let's watch a little bit about Chris's. Hold on a second. Let's watch this one. This case is really wild.
I just turned the recording. Okay. So again, this room is recorded and video and audio. We introduced ourselves in the lobbies and earlier, so we're just going to do that again real quick. My name is Kevin Kovac. I'm with the Colorado Bureau of Investigation, and we're assisting the Frederick Police Department with this case involving Chris Watts. And this is Tim Martinez, also an agent at CBI. Sir, if you just introduce yourself.
Dwayne Kessinger. I'm Nicole's father.
Dwayne, what's your birthday?
November 3rd, 1958.
And home address for you, sir?
8801 West 65th Avenue.
Let's see.
And that's Arvada, 8004.
And a cell phone or a home phone or where?
720-982-4547.
Thank you. And Nicole, can you just introduce yourself for the recording?
Nicole Kessinger. Do you know the other stuff?
Yes, please.
I live at 12255 Claude Court, unit 612, phone number 720-656-9605.
Claude Court, is that? I think we determined it was North Glen, right? Do you know your zip code?
80249.
So this interview, as you can see, took place on August 16th, 2018 at 4:56:35. Can you imagine all the things that are fixing to come out? I don't know if y'all have seen this or not, but think of all the things that are fixing to come out in this interview.
Okay. Can you speak up just a little bit so the recorder, I know you're tired and you're stressed, and we won't be here any longer than we have to be. You've already had a conversation with people before. You came here on your own free will to talk to us. We picked you up at your request and brought you here. You can get up and leave at any time. You don't have to talk to us. If there's a question you don't want to answer, don't answer it. If you don't want to talk.
So once again, she is not being interrogated. She is merely being interviewed. She's being interviewed as a witness, not a potential suspect at this point. So that's why she's able to just walk away, not answer any questions she doesn't want to. That's one of the reasons there is not a lawyer there with her. So people need to understand that. If they were a suspect, a lawyer would be there or they would be interrogated. There's different forms of interrogation tactics. I can't go over that enough.
Anymore, just tell me I want to leave, and I'm kind of in the way of the door. But you're not being interrogated as a criminal suspect. We're here to understand your relationship with Chris and what you know about Chris and his family, and events relating to Chris Watts. And do you know him as Chris or Christopher? So the phone number that you reached him on, can you tell me what that number was?
I think I deleted that out of my phone too. I just like cut him out of my life. It's a 910 number. You guys have it.
No, we gave it to Mark yesterday.
Yeah, I probably have it, but just in case.
I don't have it
If I recited it to you, would you know it?
Just the first three numbers.
Okay. But you know it as a 910 number?
Yes, that's what I do know. I mean, that's what I got.
North Carolina or something.
North Carolina. Okay. So let's just start with like a timeline of your getting to know Chris, how you guys met, where you met, all those things. And let's just run. And I'm not going to ask you specific questions unless I think it's necessary. I'll let you just tell me your story. I think it's a little bit easier that way. So I just want to know how you met him, where you met him, how long you guys were dating, and those kind of things initially.
Okay. I think I met him sometime in June, probably early June. It might have been May. It was just talking at work. It was pretty casual. And he didn't have a wedding ring on his finger. And every time I talked to him, he didn't tell me that he was in a relationship. He didn't even mention his kids right away either. And then one day he told me that he had 2 kids. I was like, that's pretty cool. And started telling me about his kids.
That sounded like a sarcastic comment.
No, I thought it was kind of cute. I was like, oh, he's a dad. It was like right around Father's Day too. So whenever that is in June.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I'm not good with holidays.
He told me he had kids, and then it was Father's Day shortly after that. So that's what I do now. And I was like, I thought it was cute. And then he's telling me about him. He's pretty excited about him. And then he mentioned that he did have a significant other. And then he told me that those 2 were in the process of a separation.
Did he mention?
Isn't that how it always goes? Oh, we're together, but we're gonna get a divorce, or we're in the process of separating. Oh, by the way, she's pregnant with my 3rd child.
The children's name or his significant other's name?
I didn't know his significant other's name for a while. And then I think he told me his kids' names pretty quick, but to be honest with you, on an exact date of when that happened, I don't know.
So in May and June, first of all, where do you work?
I work at Anadarko Petroleum Corporation. I'm contracted to Anadarko Petroleum Corporation.
Okay, and you work out of an office setting where?
In Platteville, Colorado.
Okay, and Chris also works out of that location, per se?
Yes, he's in the field, but he comes into the office with his team.
So you work, what is your job responsibility?
I do health, safety, and environment.
Okay, so you work in the office and you take care of health safety for Anadarko is an oil and gas company, right?
Yes.
So you're doing health safety in the office, and Chris works in the field.
Yes.
As a what kind of job does he do?
He's an operator, so I don't know like all of his daily duties, but he's a field operator, so he works with like the oil wells.
So he goes out and does work on those, whatever.
Yes.
That work might be, but he comes into the office frequent.
In the mornings.
So once again, this is an interview, not an interrogation. So the questions that he's asking her are just very generic, very trying to get a gauge on their relationship, their friendship, how they met, how they knew each other. How intense was this relationship?
This team meets in the mornings. They're not all in there every day. Some days, some of them are in there. Some days, other ones are in there. But in the mornings, typically from like 6:15 to probably 7, somewhere around there.
And is that where you met Chris?
Yes.
Okay. So can you just take us through kind of a little bit of the early part of how he courted you or you courted him? I don't know which one happened. How you guys got to know each other?
I guess we just started talking. He actually, so part of my job is to manage the gas monitors that we have. So Anadarko requires all of their field personnel to carry like gas monitor sensors for toxic gases. And it's my job to control the inventory, any issues, anything like that. And we were having some pretty serious like equipment issues, and we had numerous amounts of people coming in my office one day, and he happened to be one of them. And I'd seen him before, like they meet in the lunchroom, and that's where I go put my lunch in the fridge. So I'd seen him, but I didn't ever like talk to him. So that day we just started talking, and then every time I saw him in the hallway after that, and it was always hit or miss, like it wasn't an everyday thing. It was just when I saw him, we just started talking, and we just kind of had a lot in common and just hit it off. So we'd always have, pretty good conversations. And then I don't know, one day he told me that he had kids and started talking about his kids, and then mentioned, yes, that I have a wife, but we're getting separated. So, okay. And then,
when do you think that was?
When he said all that?
So specifically when he told you he was getting separated from his wife, was that within the first?
So that's an interesting statement to make whenever you're getting to know somebody. I mean, I can understand you say, yeah, I'm married, but still no mention of the pregnancy, no mention of the third child. If you, even if you weren't still in love with your wife, even if you weren't, feeling the marriage anymore and you wanted to get out, you still would mention your newborn on the way. You know what I mean? He would mentioning his girls, but yet, he failed to mention that there were really nothing wrong in this relationship. It's always, well, we're separated, or we're not getting along, and we're kind of, we can see other people. No.
A couple of weeks that you knew him, or was that later on? You said you met him around May or June.
Yeah, it was still in June.
Okay.
It would have been before Father's Day.
So had you guys ever gone out on any kind of
No.
date at that time? You just were
No.
conversing at work?
Yeah, that's all it was. And then, I don't know, we started hanging out. We hung out. We went to a park. Hung out at a park.
Let's go back real quick. So why did he tell you that he was getting a divorce? Did he ask you out at that time?
No, he didn't. I think he was probably interested in me. And so he talked to me a couple times via his work phone, and I was like, no. Like, it was still very like friendly conversation. But then when I realized, like, this man is interested in me, I'm interested in him, this is personal. So we got away from the Anadarko thing, because I really don't want those guys affiliated with any of this. And
so you have a work phone that specifically?
No, I have one phone that I do both on. He has two phones.
Okay, so he had your phone, the 720-656.
That's the only number that I roll with all the time.
Okay.
So he has two phones.
All right. One of those owned by Anadarko and
Yes,
one
sir.
personal.
Yes, sir.
Do you know what his Anadarko phone number was?
He had two phones, one for the plug and one for the load, right? Nicole, what the heck? I mean, I'm not blaming you, but I'm sure you were more insightful as to what was going on in the mindset of Mr. Chris Watts. If you were getting to know somebody at that point, he was lying to you, he was lying to Shanann, he was not under any kind of responsibility to you, so he could have been telling you anything. That's understandable. But at a particular point, you have to understand, okay, this guy is still not divorced. We like each other. We're hanging out. We're going to the park. Nothing wrong with that, all right? But this goes even further very quickly. So at a particular point, y'all start crossing the lines, and this kind of starts sealing Shanann's fate.
It's been so long, and I'm sure I could like look it up, but I tried to look it up for those guys yesterday, and I couldn't find it.
Okay. We can find it. That's okay. Just wondering if you knew it.
But at that point, we just like took it to his phone because I just felt it was like better that way. And we just continued to talk, and then
let me go back to the park. Where's the park?
It's like down the street from my house. It's called East Lake number 3.
Your house?
Yes.
In North Glen?
Yes.
And that was in the June timeframe.
Or like the beginning of July. It was like right around my birthday. It's like so sometime at the very end of June or the beginning of July.
Okay. And that's the first meeting you had outside of work?
Yeah.
the basic conversation.
Once again, I know that we may have difference of opinions, but once again, there's nothing wrong with going to a park, hanging out, talking. At this point, it hadn't became, as she's stating it, very intimate. But you know what? People are not stupid. By this point in their age, they know that this is either going to move fast or they need to slow it down until he gets to a place where he's no longer committed to someone else. But what usually happens is people don't take the responsible route. They continue going, hoping that, Chris is going to do the responsible thing. He's being responsible by Shanann. He's being responsible by me. He's being responsible by his kids, which Chris was not.
Conversation for a first date?
I mean, we kept it pretty simple, I guess, I don't even remember everything we talked about. We were there for a few hours. But
Understand so if I ask about conversation, what I'm looking for, was he talking about his family during any of these meetings? Those are the kind of, I understand, whatever you guys were talking about, relationship, your life, your interests, those things, that we don't need to know that.
There you
what
go.
I'm interested in is knowing is when he brings up his children, when he brings up his wife, when he brings up financial information, when he brings up his home, when he brings up anything that may have been, and it's been a few days, so you've had a chance to reflect on some articles that you may have read, and unfortunately, that you're in a situation where somebody has been murdered. And that information, when you look backwards in your memory with the conversations with Chris, anything that he might have said that would be relative to that, and I'm not just, even if you
and see what I just said? Everything he's echoing. I've never seen this interview. So that tells you how procedural things happen. These are the type of things that you're looking for. These are the things that are important, that are going to paint the picture of the individual who is suspected of killing his wife and his two little girls. Not, did you ride around in his pickup? What color truck does he have? Did he ever show you a weapon? Blah, blah, blah. None of that. You're trying to paint a psychological profile of Chris Watts. And this person right here is probably the only one, other than Shanann and her children, to know him as good as they do or did, So that's why he's asking these questions. Because these interrogation questions are not, and this isn't an interrogation, this is an interview. These interview questions are not to try to get this person to trip up. You're just asking them questions. Very basic question.
One day he was mad and he said, I want to do this or do that. Anything like that. If he ever made any kind of statements that you were like, whoa, that was weird. Or why would he say that? Or why did he mention that? Do you understand what I'm looking for?
No, I completely understand. I just feel like some of this happened so long ago that I can't tell you like the exact words of the exact conversation at the exact time and place, because it's like we had a lot of conversations. I mean, we talked every single day. So it's like I'm trying to help you guys with the stuff like the stuff that's more current. I can give you guys a lot more like detail and exact times. But when you're asking me about something that happened 6 weeks ago and exactly what was said, it's like, I mean, I'm sure I can give you a general idea, but to be honest with you, like to pinpoint exact words, it's not going to happen.
I'm not looking for exact words, just more, let's say 6 weeks ago, he said something that triggered with you last night. That's what I'd be looking for. Or something 4 weeks ago. And if you don't remember where it was or the specific words, that doesn't matter. Just he said something that was off the wall, or he said this or he said that has caused you a moment to pause and you go, wow, I wonder why he said that. Now knowing what.
I mean, especially if during your conversations, he mentions anything about wanting to be out of the marriage, not wanting to be with his wife anymore, making a mistake by going back to his wife or staying as long as he should have dissolved the relationship. Any of those kind of conversation would be imperative to to understand and also to paint a picture and a motive as to the possibilities of why he would have committed these heinous crimes. You get what I'm saying? So that's why he's interviewing this person. They interviewed a lot of people. I'm sure he interviewed the neighbor that called the police, you know?
What you know today. Do you understand where I'm going with that?
I completely understand. And to be honest with you, I mean, there were several discussions that we had about his current relationship and where it had gone and what it had caused. And he talked about his kids from time to time. But the thing is he was never hostile. It was never anything aggressive. Like even when he spoke of his wife and the fact that they were separating, it was never like ill. It was still very kind. It was just like, this is not working, you know, and would explain why, but it wasn't.
So if a man is telling you, this isn't working between me and my wife, we're separating, usually the mindset of the new person, so you're not the rebound, you're not the side chick, or vice versa, if it's, you know, male being involved with a female going through a divorce or separation. You try not to paint yourself in that picture. You can be the supportive cast, but don't get romantic because it becomes very detrimental to the person who either has no knowledge of you or the person who is having these issues with this other person wants them eliminated because they are part of the distance between them and a new love interest.
Anything out of the ordinary or anything that I think would scare me. And to this day, even after everything that I found out, I still look back at that and I don't see any red lights with the way that he spoke of his family.
Okay. Can you just describe his overall demeanor over the 8, 10, 12 weeks that you guys knew each other?
It wasn't that long. It was like 6 weeks that we were hanging out. I guess we knew each other longer.
Okay, but you met him in the office and just his overall persona. Who was he aggressive? Was he mellow? Was he calm? Was he outspoken? Who was Chris?
I think he's an introvert. I would consider him to be like a pretty, I don't want to say he's a very reserved individual. I think he's probably more reserved around other people. I think he emphasized to me that one of the reasons that he really enjoyed talking to me is because he felt like he could get out of his shell. He said around most people, he just like didn't really feel the need to.
So Chris, what was wrong with speaking to your wife? What was wrong with speaking to your wife about your issues? And y'all are going to be like, come on, 12. People have issues all the time. They separate. They're not compatible anymore. They're not going to be talking to each other. I get that. But you know what? Go see a counselor. Go see a therapist. Don't jump into something brand new that's going to lead your wife and your 3 kids dead in a shallow grave in some tankers. Come on, man.
To like talk and converse, and it wasn't just in his home life, just in general. It wasn't something where he's an introvert, and he said with me, it made him feel like he could really just start talking about things that excited him, and I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that we had things in common. So with me, I think he was a little bit more outgoing, but even then, I would still consider.
Well, here's the bombshell, Nicole. Chris and his wife had things in common too. 3 one unborn on the way, 2 little girls. They had things in common too. And that wasn't enough to keep him satisfied. He had to go seeking out someone like you.
For him to be an introvert. I mean, not on the extreme end. If an introvert went to like 1 to 10, I'd put him at like a 4 or 5. So on the lighter side of introvert.
Pretty even keeled.
Yes, like really relaxed, like all the time. He was never really like worked up about anything, just
mellow,
chill,
easygoing guy.
Very much.
Okay. And he was that way with you. Did he ever have any kind of, did you guys ever have arguments? I mean, no. Pretty short relationship, no arguments during that time.
No.
Did he ever lose his temper at any time?
Never.
You guys never had a yelling match?
No.
So you never saw him upset or mad?
No. And there was a couple times that we had some disagreements on things that as we like further progressed into this story, you know, but it was never like, I am very calm when I talk to people. It's like extremely rational when I handle situations that there's a disagreement in. And he always was the exact same way, like always. Like I never stressed anything. I think one thing that actually kind of drew me to him was the fact that he was like very open with communicating with me if there were any like differences on how we saw things or just like open-minded about things. It was actually, I personally thought it was kind of.
So let me ask you, chat, does this sound like a friendship or does this sound like a beginning of a relationship? Because to me, it sounds like a beginning to a relationship that happened very quickly. And once again, I'm not well versed on this case, so I'm asking you, based on what you're hearing her say, does this sound like a beginning of a relationship that was going really fast? She said 6 weeks, the policeman said 10. Do you believe that they were just friends? They were leaning on each other for comfort and support? Or was it really much, much more? What do y'all think? Rondi said, I think he knew what she needed to hear. Yeah.
Unique because usually most of the men that I've ever met are typically very closed off, and I didn't get that from him at all. But it was always like kind, very kind.
So no sense that this guy had a temper or
not at
was aggressive, or he never lost his mind and yelled and said crazy stuff.
Okay, so before people take this the wrong way, I'm gonna put a disclaimer up there. Just because he wasn't aggressive, just because he wasn't loud, just because he didn't handle situations violently, did not mean that he didn't have the culpability to be a killer. We all have that culpability. And there's so many people that get misconstrued thinking that if somebody's not violent, somebody's not angry, somebody's not this type of person, then they don't have the culpability to kill. But those are some of the scariest people to be around, or the silent, quiet type.
Or anything like that. Okay. So can we just kind of go back to your relationship? You say you guys had a lot in common. What was that?
Well, I mean, like we're both really into fitness. I think that's important. It's a lifestyle. Both of us ate pretty healthy, so I think that was important as well. He's like a total gearhead. He likes cars a lot, and I don't know nearly as much about them, but it's always been something that I've been pretty interested in. So we definitely talk about stuff like that.
So once again, I'm going to ask the chat because there's plenty of you watching this. You don't have to answer if you don't want to, but I'm going to stick this question out there for anybody who watches on replay or anything like that. I want to ask you, does this sound like the beginning of a real good friendship, or does it sound like the basis of a relationship starting off really quickly? Because she said 6 weeks, the policeman said 10 weeks. So you let me know.
And I guess he was always willing to like learn new stuff and vice versa. Like I like to travel a lot, and it's not something that he's done a lot, but he seemed like really interested in what I had to share with him and vice versa. So even if it wasn't something that we originally had in common together, it was just like, hey, I respect what you have to say, and vice versa.
So you guys, yin and yang, you got along pretty well.
Very well.
And no time, he never gave you an indication that
none
that he was having issues.
So here's the third option, because I haven't thought of this, but I'm going to put it out there. Do you think that he would just grooming her to be his side piece, something on the side, something to, take up time, vent to, blah, 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 and possibly be intimate with?
So during your guys' dating time, did you guys spend most of the time at your place?
Always.
Okay, always at your place.
Or we'd go out, but I told Mark yesterday, he asked me if I went over there, and I told him about one time that I went over to that house. I've been to that house twice, but it was very, very brief, and it was not like an extended stay. I did not feel comfortable there, or like I just didn't want to be there. It's not my life. Like, that is somebody else's life and somebody else's existence. And I respect that. That's their space. And so I used to tell him, well, come.
No, you didn't respect that because you're talking intimate and everything else with this man who is still married. You went to Shanann in his home. You didn't feel comfortable. You felt like that's their life, but yet you're still apart, wedging yourself into this. I'm sorry if that sounds harsh, but the harshness is the truth sometimes.
To my house, because this is our space. This is my space. And so for me, out of respect, just for like whatever situation he had going on and the fact that it's not my home, I felt that it was better to be in my place. And I live alone. I don't have any roommates or anything, so it's pretty easy to do that.
So during June and July, were you aware that his family was not his? Did you meet his children?
Nope.
During June and July.
And he didn't ask me to.
Okay.
I mean, not that I didn't want to ever. It was just not now. It's like you're not finalized with your separation. And not only that, we've barely been dating. Like, you can't introduce kids to somebody new in a situation like that. That's something that takes time. I mean, would I have liked?
Whatever, I have known people that introduced their kids to me the first or second time that we hung out. I mean, so you can say what you want, but there's some people that really move really fast. Throw them kids on you quick.
To have met them, of course. They, I mean, that would have been a great honor for me to have somebody introduce their children into my life, but not then. It was something that it was like, okay, well, let's see where we're at in 6 months. Let's see where we're at in a year. And if we're still doing this and you and me are still, happy with where we're at, and you think that this is something that is going to be long-term and is worth bringing your children into the picture, then yes, I would love to meet them. But it's like, not right now. You are still in this situation where you're not even completely out of it, and I'm getting in it, and that's not fair for them. And that was kind of the policy that I had with him, it was just like, yes, but not yet.
So did he ask to introduce you to his children?
Not at that time.
Okay.
I think both him and I were on the same page of eventually, if things went as they should.
I understand you guys' relationship is very new and young.
Yeah.
So although it was short, I just laying everything out helps us understand what actually was going on with him. And I might ask you a question and you're going, why the heck would he ask me that? Probably because I have information that I'm not willing to share with you. And I'll tell you that right now. I'm not going to tell you some questions I'm going to ask you. What the heck? I want to share some information with you. Just, it protects you. It protects our investigation. So if it seems weird, there's a reason I'm asking it. And it's usually relative to what I know. So don't take offense to it again.
And to the chat and people that watch this here on out, I'm not going hardcore on this woman, Nicole. I know a lot of people don't like her. They don't like the way she interviewed, the way she answered the question. Some people believe that she was more involved than what she lets on. And that is part of the buildup that I'm doing to be able to have another conversation with Kay, because we've talked about this and I want everybody to know a little bit about this case. I got 2 cases going simultaneously. We're waiting for the killing field to keep going that route and also this case. So let's listen to what she had to say. This is blowing my mind. She's just so nonchalant about a woman that got killed who was pregnant with her 2 little daughters and the guy that she supposedly was quote unquote dating. It's a prime suspect, and she is calm as all get out.
It's just part of what we need to know.
Understood.
So you went to his house on 2 occasions.
Yes.
Was that recent?
No, that was like pretty early into it, and I did not like it and did not want to go back.
Do you recall where the house was?
Yeah, it's like right off the highway in Frederick.
Okay. And you know the streets?
I mean, I'm sure I could figure it out again if I like really had to. Like off the top of my head, no.
Do you know the street name?
No.
Okay.
I would have to like drive around in there to get there.
Okay. Did it look like anybody else lived in that house?
Oh, definitely.
Okay. So is that what freaked you out?
I mean, he told me that he was living in the basement. And he said, we're separated, but we're not divorced. And we're going to get ready to sell the house. And that was the impression that I was under. And I was under the impression that they were taking everything pretty slow with this, with like getting ready to sell the house. I mean, those are big things. So that's what I was informed. And I mean, if you think about it, this whole thing happened in a 6-week stretch. Like, it's not really that much of a time frame. So in that sense, like,
So in 6 weeks, it goes from being friends with this woman, talking to her, texting, her going over to his house, he going over to hers, and then ultimately his wife gets murdered. I mean, it sounds like Chris had more feeling towards you than he did his own family. And that is such a horrific mindset to think that people are that infatuated with something new that they can wipe out the coexisting thing that they have going on, the more stable, secure environment, and just go with an unproven.
it's believable to me. Yes, I went to the house, and the first time I was there, I hung out in their like front living room. I just sat on the floor, and it was on the 4th of July. It was the morning of the 4th, and I was helping him to set up MyFitnessPal app and like track his food, his calories and stuff, because he does pretty good with the working out and stuff. And he asked me, he's like, "Can you help me just like get this dialed in?" It's like, "Yeah, I can do that." So that he invited me up to the house, and I was already kind of hesitant to do it because I was like, there are other people that live here, and I just felt like it was an invasion of space. And so I went up there, and we just stayed in that front room, and I helped him out with that, and got him all set up with that. And then, he asked me if I wanted lunch, and he grilled chicken and carrots. And then that's all he had. And I was like, okay. So we ate, and then I left. And then there was another day about, I can give you the date-ish. Let me look at a calendar. I think it was the weekend after my birthday.
Just a thing on the courtesy for the phone for, what was that guy's name, Don?
I believe that this gentleman right here is her father. So can you imagine her father hearing all this and trying to decipher everything? She's going on and on. Let's kind of speed it up a little bit because this is a 3-hour interview. Let's see what else he's talking about.
Unfortunately, the photos that are attached therein too. That information is only relative to this investigation. I'm not looking at anything else except for the conversations between you and Chris Watts and the phone data between you and Chris Watts for phone calls, for times and dates for those phone calls. And then the content of the text messages that are there. And we'll write that specifically down here. Understand that.
I don't want anybody to get some of those texts. Like, they have nothing to do with this case, and they're just like.
Between you and Chris?
Yes, they're just.
So just tell me what you're.
They're just kind of raunchy. Like,
Okay,
I don't need anybody.
Everybody's an adult.
Posted like.
We're not going to
somewhere.
Post it.
I don't want the newspapers to get that. That's all I want.
The only ones that we would be looking for, again, is the same kind of questions we're getting to here, is things about his children, things about his wife, the questioning of, did he ever, has he ever said something to you that might indicate, maybe not then, but now, that there was something like this in his mind, or you know what we're looking for. I don't need to come out and tell you that. I understand the embarrassment of particular photos or potential sexual types of conversations you may have had with.
So yeah, think about that. She said there's a lot of raunchiness in those text messages. So think about everything that was going on. She's painting it as a very innocent friendship. But I believe that there was more to it. I don't know what y'all believe. I don't know, those of you that are very invested in this case in the past, what your thoughts were regarding this. And I know this has already been played out. It's been talked about 100 million times. But you know what? This is new to me because I've never really deep dove into this case. And I know that there's a lot of questions regarding this case. You know what I mean? Regarding whether she actually knew more than she let on, or was she an accomplice in any sort of the way? Did her falling for Chris or whatever? I mean, was there any ultimatums? Did she ever tell him, you need to speed this up? I'm not going to be around, blah, blah, blah.
With Chris, it's not relative to the investigation. We don't care. Okay. You're an adult. I'm an adult. Everybody in this room, even your dad. And I give it to you for saying that stuff in front of your dad, because I'm not sure many women could do that. So that's not what we're after. We're after the information that corroborates things that you've told us, and also that corroborates or may tend to prove that things that Chris told us were a lie. You understand that? And that's maybe going a little bit far. I usually won't tell people that, but because of your reservations, that's what I'm looking for. If I can disprove something he's told me by a phone records don't lie. People do. Okay? So if I can
And think about what he's saying to her, because that's one of the reasons I'm playing this, because of the investigative process, not because I'm trying to make judgment on Nicole or anything else like that. I'm trying to show you that when somebody is merely being interviewed, they're being interviewed for their recollection of memory regarding the potential suspect that had been arrested, detained, whatever, questioned for a murder or some kind of crime. And these are the people that can either vouch for their character or they can implicate their character as potentially being, yes, that's the guy. He's more than capable of committing that crime. But the fact that she said that he wasn't aggressive, he wasn't angry, he didn't lose his temper with her, but that doesn't mean that he didn't have that capability with his own wife, because they were unhappy, supposedly. They were unhappy. They were separated, even if they weren't. Think about all the narrative, the motive. He's trying to paint a motive for his wife being killed and his two little girls. And why would his phone pings be out there in that area? He has all this in his mind. So he's trying to ask people that knew him, hey, tell me a little bit about Chris. Tell me about this. Tell me about that. Look at these text messages. Was it merely just friendly, or were y'all really in a full-blown relationship? Because that's what an interview is. An interrogation, if she was a suspect, it wouldn't be going this smoothly. He would really be hammering her.
Prove something that may be important. That's what I need it for. I'm not saying I can. Has it happened before? Absolutely. Is it critical in cases that I've worked in the past? Yes. So that's why I want it. Okay. Again, you don't have to give it to me. You can tell me, I don't want you to have it. Go get a warrant. I'm not even going to tell you if I go get a warrant, try to get a warrant right now. I'm just asking for you to consent. And again, we can write right here what you're willing to give me, which is the text messages and the phone log. And unfortunately, again, the attachments on some of those text messages, and I'll write it on there, and then you'll just sign it. Okay. Do you understand the questions there? Do you have questions about any of the things that it says? You understand you don't have to do this. You're doing it of your own free will. And I know you're tired, so if you want to let your dad read it too,
He will. Thank you.
that's a good idea.
Can you fill it out before I sign it?
Yep. And just you read it, and if you have any questions, then we'll put on there what we're after.
I am so hungry.
You should have told me. I would have got you some food. I got food in my car.
It's not staying down. It's just coming.
She hadn't been feeling good. Not because of any, just.
Like I got sick prior to.
And another thing that I want you guys to know, during an interview, he's also watching her demeanor. He may be really friendly to her. He might be friendly to the father. He's building rapport. That is the first thing that you do when you interview somebody, is you're trying to build rapport. You're trying to get them to trust you. You're trying to get them to open up to a total stranger, because honestly, there's a lot of people that aren't going to open up right away. So he has to build this rapport with her so that she feels comfortable. So she's obviously shared a lot, but how much is she still withholding? And that's what he's after, It's intimidating to be in an interview like this, because that this has to do with somebody being murdered and 2 little girls also, and an unborn child.
This whole thing happening, and then I think all of this compounding with the fact that I'm sick, it's just not good. I've not really been eating or sleeping much at all.
Yeah, I'm with you. We definitely need to accelerate the case, because the more it takes, the less sure that they are of situations. But on the other end, I think if you do just that only,
You tell me what you're willing to provide to me, and we'll write it
good
on.
enough?
I just want like our text conversation, and then I guess our phone call records.
So I'm going to put.
So the time and date of the phone call records, and then our text message.
Could we get photos of him?
Huh?
Could we get photos of him?
Off of
Would
that?
you mind if we got his photos that he sent to you?
Oh, well, they'll be in that text message thing.
So all his photos were sent. There was no apps or anything else you used that you guys were sending. It was all just text messages.
Yeah,
Okay. So it'd be an attachment to a text that he sent you.
pretty much.
But
Everything is in the text and the phone call records,
so
like all of it.
because we don't have it on tape, we discussed prior to turning the tape on Tuesday, which would have been the 14th of August. You had read some newspaper articles on the 13th and the 14th that regarded this case. You had also had a conversation with Chris at some point during the day on Monday. And on Tuesday, because of what you found, specifically what you said was, and don't let me put words in your mouth, but you found out that his wife was pregnant.
Yes.
And you did not know that prior. And you found that out via the newspaper articles, and that caused you concern.
Well, I just realized that he was lying to me, and I was like, well, if you can lie to me about this, what else are you lying to me about? And it made me realize that maybe his wife was in danger at that point, and it was day two, and she still wasn't home.
What did that cause you to do with your phone, though?
Oh, what? When I deleted those? I was just kind of grossed out by him, to be honest with you. I was just like, I don't know what's going on right now, but you just lied to me, and I don't want to see this come over my phone anymore. So I removed it.
So you already said, but you removed text messages.
I deleted all of his stuff because he lied to me. I mean, that's what it was. It was the hurt that made me delete it. And then it was the lie that made me start questioning everything else he'd been.
So think of what she deleted. Think of what she deleted. Did she delete potential evidence of her involvement? I don't want to say yes or no, but she deleted a lot of stuff that has ties to Chris Watts. What made her delete that? I mean, out of hurt? Do people do that? If you're hurt because somebody lies to you, you immediately go into your text messages and delete everything? Talk to me, chat. Have y'all ever done that? Have any of you ever done that are watching? Have you ever just deleted everything because you're hurtful and then say, they lied to me about this. What else will they lie to me about? That just, I don't know. I don't know if I believe that or not.
Telling me for the last few days.
And that's when you decided to come forward.
Yes.
Okay. So just for context,
Yes.
when people delete stuff off phones, usually we go,
No,
hold on a second.
No. It
And
wasn't
that's why I wanted,
malicious at all. It
And I'm
wasn't
not saying it's
malicious at all. He lied to me. It just hurt. Like I had never felt like he'd ever lied to me before. And it was a big lie. I mean, telling somebody that you're in the midst of a divorce and then you have a wife that has a 15-week-old baby on the way is a huge, huge thing. And I was very taken back, and it was hurt. And so at that point, I deleted it. I had a few more quick things to say to him, and then I just got rid of him. That's literally what I did. I just cut him out of my life. It would all.
I mean, based on what the police officer that's interviewing her, I agree with him wholeheartedly. Why would that be the first thing that you did? Did you not want to be attached to this man? Did you not want the media outburst that You were the mistress of Chris Watts, and that's what caused Shanann to get killed, plus the two little girls. I mean, I get the guilt factor, I get it, but most people would not delete that. They'd be like, you know what? I found this information out. I thought it might be useful, so I'm handing it over to you. What was in those text messages? Obviously, they have the capability to look in the text and, bring them back out and what was in them. So what would be so hurtful to you that you would need to delete these text messages?
Honestly been like a bad breakup kind of thing. Like if none of this other stuff would have happened, that's what it would have been. That would have been the end of it.
The information was not destroyed because there was anything in there that would be harmful to you or potentially to Chris at this point, but harmful to you in particular. That's not why you did it.
No,
you did it out of, excuse my language, this guy's an asshole, so I'm getting rid of him and I'm getting this stuff off my phone.
That was like me kicking.
Are you sure, Nicole? Are you sure there wasn't any text messages that are going to say, you really should leave your wife by now. You're unhappy. Come live with me. Blah, 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 all these type of things. Because I believe that you were probably more invested with Chris than he was probably invested with you. But that's just a general observation. I could be wrong. But what would cause you to delete these text messages so quickly?
Him out of my life. Okay. And then, like I said, and then realizing that he lied, that was when I was like, okay, maybe his family is in danger and they're not coming back and they're not staying with a friend.
Yeah, when did I go over there? Tuesday morning?
Wednesday morning.
Wednesday.
I called you Wednesday morning.
That's when we started discussing you guys need to get everything that could just...
You can understand the importance of...
Oh, no question. We were...
Like I said, people lie, phone records don't, and they really help specifically establish dates and times. Mm-hmm. I think we have a very good grip on that in this case already, but there may be a time when we go, we need to know something else, and then we would have it. We don't want to lose it, and that's really what it is for us. Is if we lose information that later on we go, man, I wish we would have got that, and we may never even use these. We may never even look at them. But if we have it now, then we don't worry about losing it. So I appreciate you being cooperative and giving it to us.
Yeah.
So
just like everything else, if they would have had those text messages, it wouldn't have implicated her to this extent. And it probably would have just been like, okay, here's the text messages. This is what happened. There were just photos of them doing whatever they did, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't see there's nothing in these text messages that show that she was involved in orchestrating or demanding an ultimatum of him to choose between one or the other. Now we'll never know. I mean, I don't know if that came out in court or not.
The first thing I wrote was text messages between Chris Watts and attachments. Okay, so because we're talking about the photographs, unfortunately, that cause you much disdain. And then I am going to put phone log for calls between yourself and Chris Watts. Your phone number is
720-656-9605.
And this right now is located, we're at the police department. It's going to be moved to so this is kind of, doesn't make sense, but we're here. It's going to be moved to the Colorado Bureau of Investigation. He's going to download it here, but I'm going to take it with me, just so you know. It's not staying here.
Okay.
They're not going to retain any of this. This comes with me. Okay?
Is there anything else you want on there? I think that's about...
That's it. I mean, I don't have social media. I don't really have anything else you guys can pull.
Okay.
Is there anything else you know of that could help us with this that is not on this sheet?
As far as like data?
That's on your phone?
No. I mean, everything we did was like text and talk pretty much. I mean, and like I said, any pictures that I had, like even if you were to restore all my regular photos, there's so many pictures in there and you wouldn't even know which ones were for him and which ones weren't. But any picture that I wanted to send to him, I sent via text. So if you guys go through the text and the attachments, you will have you will have everything that wasn't said verbally and was done via text. But I think that's it. Like I don't have anything else. As far as like no Facebook, no Instagram, no Twitter.
Okay, let's pause right there with hers and let's go back to Chris's interview. I know it's been a little long, but I want to hear. His was really shady. I remember seeing his. But hers, she just seems very, very methodical in a different way. I don't know. I don't know what to think about it. Tell me what y'all think. Let me see. Let's see if I can find a good one that I won't get copyrighted. First police interview. We'll watch a little bit of this and then I'll call it a day. I don't understand what his deal in this interview. He looked guilty the whole damn time. Compared to her, he looked guilty. And it's not because I thought that from jump. Okay. The final message that she deleted where the manipulation was, she was very involved. Okay. And that's what we're trying to find out. I mean, that's where I'm leading into this series, because Kate talked to me about that and I want to know more about this case. That's why I'm glad you're here to clear that up. Let's watch his interview, okay? This is from Crime Vault.
Probably, you know. Yep. Do you have a preference? Doesn't matter. Okay. I'm gonna go make a copy of this so we can look at it together. You know I'm ordering food on that?
I'm looking on where I'm good.
You good to go?
I'm fine right now. Thank you.
Alright, let's do this. I'm gonna sit next to you so we're looking at it together. So what I want to do is, we have a bunch of people coming in, you know, from your neighborhood. Somebody saw something, somebody knows where these kids are. And I keep saying kids, I'm sorry, you kids in your life. And I should say, I work these quite a bit, and so tonight, if I make one of those mistakes when I say kids instead of your wife and kids, I apologize. We work it a lot, so I apologize if something comes out wrong or.
So at that point, I think Chris is like shitting his pants. I really do. Let's get to past the formalities. This room is horrible as far as interviews are concerned. They're horrible. The camera's horrible.
Water? No.
I brought you Gatorade.
Oh, thank you.
All right.
All right. So 1:40 a.m. doorbell detects the visitor. So when we were over at the neighbor's house the next day, we were looking at his camera as well, and it didn't show anybody walking up to the driveway, which is kind of weird. That's one reason I put that on there, because it showed Nicole dropping her off, but nobody actually walking up to the house. It was kind of weird, but she was in the house.
Okay.
So,
and what time are we talking?
This is still 1:48.
Okay.
So 2 a.m. Shannon gets into bed with me. 4 a.m. That's when my alarm goes off for work, and I'm seeing get dressed, brush my teeth, everything I do upstairs.
Okay.
4:15. That's when I get back, slide right into bed next to her, and start having a conversation with her about having the house up for sale and talking about stuff like actually proceeding with the separation.
Okay.
And obviously it gets pretty emotional, like we're talking about, you know, like we felt the disconnection was there, like falling out of love and trying to stay together, maybe just for the kids' sake, but we're realizing that doing like our homework, it's not most of the time that's not gonna work.
Yeah.
And it gets pretty emotional because we have two beautiful kids and we have one on the way. So it's just a matter of like, it was very emotional. We were both crying. And at the end, we just said, you know, she said she was gonna take the kids to her friend's house for the day. She would be back. Okay. I was like, okay. So, and so I went downstairs.
Okay, let's move it
She
to
gets home late at night.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
the early.
It's also like every option, every friend that we know that could have helped her.
Okay. So we talked about her decompressing a few times. Where would you do that?
She would have to go to her friend's house to do that. She wouldn't just go anywhere, not with the kids. I've checked, and if she had any cash on her, I'm not sure like how much she would have had on her. She usually doesn't carry much cash, and the cash she had in her wallet was from Nicole the previous day.
From who?
From Nicole.
Oh, okay.
She told me that was the cash she gave her.
Okay.
So when we found her purse.
For what?
No, I'm not sure. She didn't tell me.
Okay.
But that was the only cash she had in her wallet.
And is that still at the house, you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
So let me ask you guys a question, because according to Nicole, this dude right here is an introvert. Does he look like an introvert to you? Like he is answering these questions and he's talking and keeping the conversation going? I've been around a lot of introverted people. They're very one-dimensional. They answer the question, they don't continue the question. He is very talkative. So right now he's talking about the early morning, okay? And I know y'all probably seen this interview, but think about what he says here.
So is her license normal?
Yeah.
So she's got no cash that we know of, no license, no phone. Anything about the clothes in the closet, the hamper, the drawers that makes you think she packed some boots, she's going to the mountains.
Like she has so many clothes in that closet. Like it'd be hard to really tell if she took a little amount. Okay. If she took a big amount, it'd be pretty obvious. But like a little amount, we would never know.
Okay.
All right. She has like say like that whole wall, and then the bottom, and then other side. Okay. If you take this room, it's about the size of it.
A woman with a lot of clothing? You don't say?
No.
Okay. Shoes? Anything about shoes that you think?
She has a whole shoe closet.
So there's nothing obvious that screams at you. She's preparing for this type of activity. Okay.
And the kids' clothes too. There was enough that was there that I saw missing.
Okay. So, all right. So I know it's hard to talk about. You mentioned that there was a hard conversation the two of you had about separation, your marriage and separation. Now that you've had a little bit of time to think, looking back on that conversation, can you connect the dots between both of you being upset and crying, and here we are, and now she and the kids are gone? What do you think about?
I think about like, did I cause this? Like, did I make her feel like she needs to leave? And like, did she really feel like the things she was saying? Did she really feel the same? Did she really feel like, all right, the disconnection? Did she really feel all that, or she's just saying it like maybe like us falling out of love?
So, based on watching this a couple minutes, Chris appears to be a very likable guy. He doesn't seem to be very aggressive, like she said. He's very even keel, like she said. But think about how many people are influenced who don't have the training to see past all that. Because I can tell you, if you're sitting there objectively, you're not looking at him as being a good guy, a bad guy, any of this stuff. You're listening to what he's saying for the consistency or the inconsistency of his stories. You're trying to figure out exactly what he's talking about, and first and foremost, listen for any inconsistencies that you might hear. Because he's talking with his hands. He just, he's into the conversation, answering the questions that are being asked of him. And I know a lot of people say, well, he doesn't look like a killer. He's very well groomed, blah, blah, blah. Well, honestly, at this point, at 2026, we've seen multitudes of different type of looks regarding killers. So I would ask you, maybe you need to scratch that out of your profile. Looks like a killer. No, because there's no such thing. There's no such thing as a definitive look.
Was that really registering her at that point in time, or did it register after I left to go to work? And then she was like, I'm just gonna leave. It's like, I'm not sure, because she laid back down. She was still there when I left. But like, maybe she sat there and thought about it, like, do I really need to stay here right now? Like, if he doesn't love me, maybe I should just go.
Can you really get into that conversation with me? And what I want to know is, you always had a very deep relationship with her. She's your wife, but it's going to be easy for me to listen to what was said and maybe think that there are some clues about maybe she did just lay down and cry a little bit longer and something happened to her, or maybe she did get frustrated and she left. So can we recreate that conversation?
Mm-hmm.
So tell me what happened.
So I crawled back in bed.
So sorry, let's start from, she gets home late at night.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Here's the story. Here's the story right here, y'all. Here's the story. She gets home late at night.
I'll start from that point.
Okay. So she got home about 2 a.m.
And were you already home?
Oh yeah, I was passed out.
Okay.
Yeah, so like I felt her get into bed. That was about it. About 4 a.m. That's when my alarm went off to go to work.
Okay.
That's when I got ready and everything.
So she gets in at 2, alarm goes off at 4. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And you were sleeping that whole time?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So the conversation hadn't started?
No.
Okay.
So about when my alarm goes off, that's when, after I get ready for work, I go back in bed and have that conversation.
So you wake up at 4.
Mm-hmm.
From at 4, then what until you start the conversation?
Get dressed, get my clothes on, brush my teeth, deodorant, all that kind of stuff.
Okay. Shower? Okay.
Shower up. Yeah, night before.
Okay. What do you do for a living?
I work in the oil and gas.
Okay. So then it doesn't matter if you go to work without a shower. Okay.
Definitely.
All right.
It's gonna be bad anyway.
Yeah. So then you wake up, you get ready. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
You're fine.
So then what time are we talking about when you're ready to talk with her?
About 4:15 or so.
Okay. And so she was asleep from the time she got in from 2 to 4,
Mm-hmm.
4:15. You wake up at 4:15, you're ready. Okay, and at 4:15, you start talking.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you talk at 4:15 in the morning?
I felt like I needed to talk to her face to face, because like I wanted to say something. Like when she was in Arizona, like I didn't want to do it through a text. I didn't want to do it through a call. I was like, I got back in bed. I was like, I needed to talk to her about this, because she had told me like when she was going to fly back that she wanted to get up with me so she could take a shower, because she wanted to get the airport off of me.
What do you mean when she got back?
When she flew back in.
From Phoenix?
Yeah.
Okay. So she told you, let's have a talk?
No, she wanted to get up with me so she could take a shower and get the airport off her, because she was her flight was delayed.
Oh, okay.
Her flight was supposed to get at 11, but it didn't leave till 11.
Okay. And so did she call you or did she text you?
I think there was a call.
Okay.
On that one.
All right. And so at 4:15, what happens?
That's when I crawled back in bed and I woke her up.
Okay.
And then I proceeded to talk to her about how I was feeling, about how I felt like what's been going on with us for the last, what she's seen in like the last 6 weeks, because she was in North Carolina and I was down there just the last week. But from just being apart and just like figuring out who people are. It's like the best way for people to really find out who they are is to spend time apart.
I agree.
And just kind of. Okay, so for the last 6 weeks, supposedly you were with Nicole, because she said y'all's relationship was 6 weeks. So if Shanann was in North Carolina, then you were carrying on a double life pretty much, right?
Like, you need to see yourself. Well, and then on the last week, that's when I went back to North Carolina, and I was there for the last week there.
Okay.
And when we were together, we could feel like it wasn't there, that spark. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of cliche, but that spark wasn't there anymore. Mm-hmm. And on that night, I woke that morning, early that morning, I told her like the disconnection is it's there. Like, it's not going away. Like, the connection we had when in the beginning, it's not there anymore. It's like, I don't feel like the love we have is there anymore. Okay. And it's just like, I don't feel.
Maybe because you're cheating on her. Maybe that's the reason why the love's not there anymore, Chris. Maybe it's because you've been cheating on your wife and your conscience is not clean. You don't have a clean conscience. So therefore, of course you feel like it's not there. But for the sake of argument, let's say that this is true.
Like, I mean, if we want to stay together for the kids, I'm not sure if that's going to work. Like, bringing another, what you told him. Yes. Okay. Like, having another baby, bringing us into this relationship, do you think this is going to work with us being together, or separation? I think is going to be the best possible route for us. And that's when, like, all the crying and everything proceeded. And it was very hard just to talk about that. But I needed to do it face to face. Okay. And I needed to see her face, like, while I did it. I couldn't text, phone, whatever. I needed to be face to face and be able to see her and know that she was going to be at least reciprocating back to me. What did she say? She said that she wanted to kind of work on it, but if that's the way I was feeling, then she respects that. Okay. And she said that most of the time, when you have kids and you have a relationship where people love each other more, they fall out of love, this connection, that having kids, even bringing a new baby into the equation, doesn't always work as well as.
Not 18, 19 years old, but I have to wonder if you knew that this relationship was not going anywhere and you were already interested in someone else. She was 10 weeks, not 10 weeks. Yeah, I think they said 10 weeks pregnant. So she was in North Carolina for the last 6. So she found out 4 weeks or a month after that she was pregnant. Then she went to North Carolina. So when she left, you were already in the process of talking with Nicole. You're already in the process of being, flirty and walking in the park and all this other stuff. So you were terminating the relationship with Shanann while she was gone. You were allowing another woman into her home, into your home. You were violating every trust factor that people have in a marriage. And you're so nonchalantly saying, well, we were talking about, maybe not having the other kid because it never worked, blah, blah, blah. Come on, Chris. You're sounding pretty damn guilty, my guy.
Keeping, the couple happy and the kids happy. It's like, it almost is better if the two are on different sides.
Yeah, you don't want to spend your whole marriage just liking each other and faithing for the kids.
Yes, and that's one thing.
Okay. That isn't accurate.
That's totally accurate. Okay. I mean, you don't want to be the people parading around with a mask on when the kids are around, and then when the kids go to sleep, you just go your separate ways. Okay. That's what I don't want.
Okay, I'm gonna pause it right there. We're gonna get back to Nicole's interview next time that I'm live, and we're gonna finish up Chris's next time. I want to know your thoughts behind this case because there's been multitudes of lives behind this case. There's been people that are actually believe that he was innocent. There's been people that believe that Nicole had something to do with it, that she knew more than maybe she let on. And we will continue to explore that avenue because based on what I just saw in that short interview, and granted, it's harder to tell on a video, on these interview videos, because the sound sucks, the video sucks, and the echo is so bad, so you're not able to really catch every word or the emotional attachment to the words. But one person who was supposed to be an introvert sounded like an extrovert, all over the place, just talk. The other one, who was supposedly be the calm, rational blah 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 type person. She was the introverted person in that interview. So I believe that people's definitions sometimes don't match their understanding of what these personality traits really are. You know what I mean? Because an introverted person, if there is such a thing, they're not very sociable in nature. It's definitely not what he is dispelling in that interview. He was very much the extrovert, and then I've seen his interview. It goes from that until they start telling him what they got, and then he all of a sudden just breaks down, and he called in the woman interviewer, and she's talking to him, and we'll get to that. But Nicole's interview is what I'm really more curious on, because many people have that belief system that Nicole knew more than Nicole was talking about. That Nicole had more idea in those 6 weeks. Maybe not that he was going to kill his wife and the kids, but did she have a push into that subconsciously? Because, like I was talking about earlier with Susan Smith, you start a relationship with somebody, and then all of a sudden they tell you, well, I don't want kids. And you got 3 of them. And you don't want to lose them because your heart's involved, right? You're in love with them. Most people are going to be like, well, I need to break it off because, they've already told me they don't want kids. They don't want any more kids. And I got 3 of them. And these people's minds, they think, well, I need a solution. In Susan's mind, she said, let me kill my kids. That'll solve the problem. I'll be with them. Problem solved. Nobody will be the wiser. And if you haven't figured it out yet, which I'm sure you have, when you're dealing with the criminal mind, and I'm calling it the criminal mind because not everybody has the culpability to be criminal. There's a distinctive factor that keeps us from being a criminal and not a criminal. We all have those thoughts, okay? Some of us, if not most, are able to decipher when to draw the line, when to step back, when not to push that envelope, or even act on it. These individuals that we're talking about today obviously don't have that discernment to step away, step back, where they should have stepped back, where they should have made the decision to not harm their family. They went along with it, hoping that they wouldn't get caught. Until next time, have a very happy Easter tomorrow. And be safe. And try to understand that not everything's so cut and dry, even though you've seen it 500 times. Doesn't always mean that this is what it is, but sometimes it is exactly what it is. Sometimes we're dealing with psychopaths. Sometimes we're dealing with sociopaths. And we may never understand how it could happen like it did. But the fact of the matter is, if you're a rational thinker, you get to that point of understanding. Because only people that are insane or can identify with a psychopath or sociopath because they are narcissistic or any of that 3 dark triad, understand that there is possibilities that people do kill people. Whether they know them, whether they don't know them, whether they have anger problems, whether they don't have anger problems. If we understood it wholeheartedly, we might be able to stop it. But at this point, we're just merely investigating. Till next time, my name is 12 Gauge, and this is my channel, 12 Investigative Podcast. Please hit the like, subscribe, and share button if you enjoyed the content. And I hope to see you in the chat soon. Maestro, cue that music.